Greetings all viewers, specifically those in the vinyl community. This is Music as a Journey. I'm Peter Scove and I am creating this video to join in the summer vinyl tag of 2024 created by Dillon over at Noble Records. Now I think about 44 of you are probably saying, but hey Pete, didn't you just do a video like that before? And we sat through the whole 43 stinking minutes of it? Well, yes I did. I actually uploaded it back on whatever it was, Sunday. I wanted to create a video that was entertaining, informative, interesting, and would hopefully inspire some people to check out music. However, I think the video I made was wordy, it was way too long. I made several mistakes during the video. Some I was able to edit out, others I didn't notice until after it was up. And there was one point I was trying to make, I think it came out sounding the wrong way, and it's probably easy to be misinterpreted. So I decided to do this video one more time and let's try to make it shorter. Okay, so let's get started. There are 20 questions, and the first one is to show an album with summer in the title. So, my choice here is Manatsu no Yoru no Yume, which is the Japanese title for Midsummer Night's Daydream. This is an album by the Japanese heavy metal band Ningen Isu, and yeah, it's Manatsu no Yoru no Yume. Manatsu means midsummer, Natsu means summer. This actually has nothing to do with the Shakespearean play or anything. It is a collection of their own songs, but the image they were going for was this kind of fantasy, dreamlike world. So that's for question number one. Question number two is your latest heavy pull. This is some grail you were searching for, or a difficult to get album you were glad to get, or something you had to pay a little bit extra in order to get a hold of. So this is going to relate, my answer is going to relate to another question later on. Recently I have been trying to collect the P-Vine releases of Shonen Knife records from, or the CDs, since the late 2000s. Since the late 2000s, they have all come on a gatefold CD. There is a poster inside, and the CD itself comes in a nice little CD, protective baggy thing. Here's an image. I talked about it in another video not that long ago. So I think there are about 9 in the series. I have collected 5 of them so far, and one of them was the 2016 album Adventure. The other 4 were not so hard to get. The prices were reasonable. I was able to get them on Amazon, Amazon Marketplace, Yahoo Auction, or whatever. But this one here, Adventure, was actually a little difficult. There was only one copy I was able to locate, and it was for a little bit high price, especially since it was actually used just in near mint condition. I finally decided I had to get it anyway, and I did, so I'm very glad for that one. So that is a recent acquisition that took a little bit of a strain to get a hold of. So that's Shonen Knife Adventure, their 2016 CD. Oh, by the way, I know this is the vinyl tag, but my choice of format since 1990 has been CDs, so I will show vinyl where I can, but trust me, most of the answers to this question are going to be CDs. I was allowed to enter the vinyl 2024 tag, so I hope everybody will just look at the music and don't worry about the format. The third question is called a whack-a-mole, and that is just where you grab something randomly. And the people I've seen in the video so far, they've either just reached over their heads and grabbed something from behind them, or a couple of people have had their kids run over and pull something off the shelf. So my kids are occupied right now. I'm going to just reach over and grab something from the corner back here. Now there's some kind of organization to everything back here, but let's see, I don't know exactly what I'm getting. So let's have a look. Oh, look at that. This is Bad Company's debut album. And I actually just finally picked this up earlier this year after, oh gosh, somebody in one of the YouTube channels out there in the VC community was talking about this album, and I was thinking, yeah, I don't think I ever had this. But you know what? After getting it and listening to it, I think actually I recognize some of the songs, so probably I did have this before in the past. But anyway, pretty solid album. I think everybody out there who has this says it is a great album. So there we go. The debut album by Bad Company, released in, I think it was 1974 even, so 50 years old. Okay, that is my pick for the whack-a-mole over the head grabbing something. Number 4 is an album cover with an animal on it. So I'm going to show this one here. Now this camera, this is actual DSLR, so I haven't got it set on autofocus. So I'm going to put an enlarged image here. You can take a look. This is an album by a band called Gecko Project, and as you can see in the picture, there is a gecko on here. But it is actually not just a gecko. If you look closely, you can see these power lines in the picture. There are geckos crawling all over them. So that's a Gecko Project. And just to mention Gecko Project, the guitarist in the band is a fellow named Peter Matukniak, an English guitarist who is now living in California. I'm connected with him on Facebook, and he has been in various projects or bands like Evolve 4, Gecko Project. He's played with Steve Bonino. He's been in a band called Ireland. He's guested on a lot of albums, and I've actually done a video about him way back when, in 2018 I did it actually. So that's for an album with an animal on the cover, and that is a gecko for Gecko Project. So next is an album with a great story, and I thought it was a little bit loose in the interpretation. It could be a concept album with a great story, or it could be how you got the album, or how the album was made. I decided to go with how I got the album. So I actually get to show a bit of vinyl here. This is Babel, an English band, kind of an interesting, I guess, new prog style band. And I was buying some CDs from their record label, Melodic Revolution Records. I'm not wearing the t-shirt right now. And I was considering getting this, but I decided not. I was buying them all on CD. However, the owner, Nick Katona, I kind of know him too, he threw in a copy of the CD for me, and I actually really liked it. I thought there were so many great songs, really cool stuff, and nothing like that I have in my collection, so it was really welcome. And since then I have done some videos. I've mentioned Babel before. I've included their music in my videos. But the guitarist Rob Williams, whom I'm also connected with on Facebook, he thought I should have a vinyl copy of the album. I don't have a record player, but he thought I should have a vinyl copy, at least for show. So this is the Circle of Confusion of Tongues. It opens up with all this different funky artwork in here. There's Mr. Rob Williams himself, and this is Karen Langley, the singer. Really interesting band. So how I got this is, you know, Nick Katona of Melodic Revolution Records sent me the CD for free, and then guitarist Rob Williams sent me the album to say thank you for featuring him on this channel. So that is pretty cool, I think. Next up is an album you would be surprised to see in my collection, and I've never shown this one before. This is an album called Deep Breakfast by Ray Lynch. This is electronic music. I guess electronic new age, I'm not really sure what you'd call it. When I was in high school drama, I was a member of the drama club, and for warm-ups, the teacher would have us all lie down on the floor, and she played the first 2 tracks off of this Celestial Soda Pop and the O of Pleasure. So while listening to those tracks, she would ask us to imagine different scenes and think about us being, you know, acting in those scenes. And I always really liked those songs. I think everybody did, not songs, those tracks. So I bought the CD, but I don't think I've listened to it probably since about like 1990 or 91. So probably it's time to get that one in the computer and on the phone and listen to it on my commute. So an album you might be surprised to see in my collection is Deep Breakfast by Ray Lynch, because mostly I talk about heavy metal, hard rock, progressive rock, psychedelic rock, that kind of stuff. So not electronic relaxation music. Next up is question number 7, is Cheap Heat. So a record that doesn't cost as much as it should. So my pick is this CD here. It is the Grapes of Wrath. It's called Field Trip. Grapes of Wrath were fairly successful in Canada in the 80s. By the late 80s, they had a pretty big album called Now and Again. And into the 90s then, one of the members left the band and they changed the name to Ginger, releasing 3 albums under the name of Ginger. But then that member, Kevin Kane, I think his name is, he rejoined the band and they became the Grapes of Wrath once more. So this is their first release under that, the new Grapes of Wrath. And I found this on Amazon in the marketplace. I think it was going for about 1,100 yen, which is actually quite cheap. The usual price you'd pay for a new CD could be anywhere from 2,300 yen to up to 3,000 yen, and sometimes a little bit more if it's a brand new CD that everybody's waiting for. So 1,100 was pretty cheap. But then after a few days, when I checked my shopping cart, there was something like a 36% off sale or 27% off sale. So it came down to 700 and something yen, and I ordered it right away. Now, aside from the fact that I think this is a very good album, this also, and I have to be careful because the CDs kind of fall out, but this is actually a double disc. Okay, it is hanging in there a bit loosely now. I got to be careful with this. But anyway, it is actually a double disc, and this is the collector's edition. It says here, collector's edition includes bonus track EP. Okay, bonus tracks EP. So they re-recorded 2 of their old classic songs, and there were also, I think, 4 other songs on here. So we have Field Trip and the extended Field Trip. So that's a double disc, all for like 700 and something yen, which is less than a third that you would normally pay for it. But this is also a pretty old album. It goes back to 2001, so probably they were just looking to clear it out. Anyway, great album for a very cheap price. Next up is a 45 or alternative format. Okay, so I was actually digging around a little bit, and I found I have this. This is by a band called Mercury Rev, and there are 2 tracks on here, The Darkest Rising and Night and Fog. And there's also an advertisement here, Mercury Rev, live in concert November 30th, The Commodore, All Is Dream in stores now. So this is a little promo mini CD of 2 songs, and a friend of mine gave me a bunch of promo stuff way back when, so probably around 2003, 2004. So that is my showing for a 45 or alternate format. This is the CD version of a 45. Okay. So number 9 is favorite music documentary or biopic. Okay, so I love watching documentaries about music scenes and bands. I haven't seen so many biopics, but I did recently watch a film called Hardcore Logo. This is a movie about a fictitious punk rock band who get back together again for a benefit show and then do a small tour. I loved that movie. I watched it twice because I thought it was so great. And this CD here is a tribute to Hardcore Logo, which I talked about in one of my recent videos. A bunch of bands were asked to record tribute songs to Hardcore Logo, which is an imaginary band, but the bands recording on here are real bands. We've got The Pursuit of Happiness, we've got 5440, we've got Odds, number of Canadian bands on here, including Dream Warriors, a rap band, which have been mentioned a couple of times now on some, like Curtis at Young LP Lovers and Brian at Embryonic Robot have mentioned Dream Warriors. So anyway, for a great fictional movie about an aging punk rock band in the mid-90s, Hardcore Logo is a great film. It is not a comedy though. There are funny scenes, but it does have a tragic ending. So but you might want to watch it. I think it's a great film. Next up is a box set. Okay, so I don't usually buy box sets. However, I have this one here, the Monkees Music Box. You can see there's disc 1, 1966, disc 2, 1967, disc 3, 1968, and disc 4, 1969 to 96. And in the middle of all those discs, we have this booklet telling the history of the Monkees with photos and whatnot. So that is a really cool thing. I used to, of course, watch the Monkees on TV when I was a little kid, and I always thought it was a fun show. About 10 years ago, someone I know online mentioned the Monkees, and I thought I would check out some of their videos on YouTube, and then I decided I should probably just buy some of the music because I'm not like a huge Monkees fan, but certainly there are songs I liked. So I got this box set, and it's pretty cool. There are a lot of songs that I really like on this, so I'm very glad I got that. The Monkees Music Box for my box set. Next up, your most trashed record. Okay, so here I get to show you a bit of LP. This is Grand Funk Railroad on Time, the debut album from 1969. in the late 80s, my dad came home with a record player, and that was really great because I was really into this late 60s, early 70s heavy rock, hard rock, heavy psych music, but very little was available on cassette. And so with the record player, I went off to the record stores and picked up a bunch of these for, they're usually like a couple of bucks each or whatever. So the cover is pretty well worn, and it's probably the most worn of all the albums I have. So there's that. But since we're talking about CDs, there was this one here. This is Uriah Heep's Fallen Angel, and I really wanted to get a hold of it, but to get a new sealed copy was going to be super expensive. So there were 2 copies at Disc Union. One of them was in pretty good condition, but with some minor damage, and I put that in my shopping cart. And then if you spend over 5,000 yen, you get free shipping. So I thought, see if I can find another album, which I did, but it was just under 5,000 yen. So I had to find one more, and I gave up that night. And next morning, I found one more, put it in the shopping cart, and then I got the notice, if you add this much more, you'll be over 5,000. I thought, how can that be? I should be over 5,000. And then it turned out the Uriah Heep album had sold. I mean, I had it in the shopping cart at 1 a.m. Next morning, it was gone. So I had to get the other one, which was a very low-grade one. And the CD itself is fine. However, the paperwork inside is not so fine. Perhaps you can see one side is faded, like this has been exposed to sunlight. It has a lot of wrinkles and creases in it. There are tears in the corner. There's holes at the top. Probably someone had stuck this on the bedroom wall. So I don't buy CDs like this. If I see anything that is in that crappy condition, yeah, the corner here is all busted up too, I would not buy it. The only reason why I did is because I really wanted to get this album, and yeah, the version, the copy I wanted to get got sold that night. It's terrible. Okay, I'm going to edit the video. I got to put this in a way properly again. Okay, next up, question number 12 is for the most local act. So I am going to show a group called Kibo. I don't think they exist anymore. They released a full-length album and an EP. And Kibo, the singer, this is a Japanese band, but it's actually mixed international. So there are some Japanese members, there are some who are half Japanese, and then there's a Canadian woman singing, and her name is Florence. And Florence was working at the English school where I'm working at. This is several years ago now. So Florence was a really great singer, and then I heard that she had this group, and they put out a couple of albums. And this is really sort of happy, upbeat, kind of hip-hop style, which is not what I buy. But I have to say, 2 of the 3 tracks on here I really liked, and there were also a couple of tracks on this one I really liked. So we did a trade. I gave her a couple of my photo books, and she gave me her CDs. So that is a really local band, local enough that the singer was working at the same English school that I'm working at. And the band was actually located just a couple of cities away, down the train line, probably like 15 minutes by train. Okay, next is question 13, from a faraway land. So considering I'm in Japan, the farthest away place I could find where I have an album from is South Africa. This is Freedom's Children. I think this is their 3rd album. It is called Galactic Vibes. And Freedom's Children are from South Africa. They were a psychedelic kind of progressive band in the 60s. First 2 albums I didn't really care so much for, but this one here, they're getting pretty heavy. There's a couple of really killer heavy tracks. I think one is called Seahorse. That's one of them, the opening track. That's a pretty heavy one. There's also a long track on here with a 5-minute drum solo in it. But anyway, pretty cool album. That's Freedom's Children from South Africa. So next question is to show a soundtrack, and I'm pretty pleased about getting to show this. This is the soundtrack for the movie The Black Hole. Original motion picture soundtrack, a digital recording, music by John Barry. So, this movie came out in 1979, and I had just been reading about black holes at that time. I was 8. I loved science stuff. I still do. And I was so excited that there was a movie about the black hole. So on my birthday, I remember running home from school, and we drove off to the movie theater. Missed the first 5 minutes, but I was really into the movie, especially any time the black hole appeared on the screen. I was just staring at that blue, purplish whirlpool in space. How is the movie now? Well, I've heard it's kind of cultish in a way. It was Disney's attempt to join in the Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers, Star Trek thing, you know, that was really popular there at the time. And they spent a lot of money on the effects and so on, but some people say the story is a bit weak. I don't know. But anyway, this is the Black Hole soundtrack, which I have kept since I was, what did I say? 8 years old. So next question is to your highest recommendation, and if you've seen any of my last 4 or 5 videos, I have talked about this band, 5440. I have completed the discography of all their regular studio recordings. This is their 2005 album, Yes to Everything. 5440 started out as a post-punk, new wave, no wave type band, and they progressed throughout the 80s to be an indie rock band. They rarely used synthesizers, but they did have someone playing the trumpet. In the 80s, they moved on to an kind of hard rock, alt rock, a bit grungy band, bit also like, you know, pop alt rock band at times. They've adjusted their sound here and there from album to album, always staying within their realm of, within their style, but adding something different, a different flavor to each of the different albums. This one here is mostly a straight up guitar rock album. We've got 2 guitars, bass, drums, vocals. One song has piano, another song has a bit of synthesizer. Some of the tracks are a bit like AC/DC. One of them, I heard somebody said, sounds like a No Doubt song. Some of them still have this kind of 90s alt rock feel, but overall just this band has really captured my attention, and I've been listening to them almost exclusively the last 2 weeks. Let me see if I can just slip in a snippet of samples from this album here.
I know you still love me. I know you do. I know there may be trouble ahead, so let's just face the music now and dance. I won't listen to all this killing and who is willing to go on and on about love. And I'm calling you out just to see if anybody's home. There's no reason you're getting high. There's no reason we're getting by.
Okay, and I am going to work on 2 videos about this band. One is going to be the band history, and another one is going to be a review or explanation of all of their albums. So that's 5440 as my highest recommendation for now. So next up is highest on your want list, and so we're going to go back to Shawn and Knife again. As I said, their label in Japan, P-Vine, were releasing their albums with this gatefold CD with a poster inside. And the 2 most recent albums, I was having a devil of a time trying to find. I had last got them out of Australia, however that label is called Valve, that's right. Valve is the label in Australia that releases their stuff. The latest one, Our Best Place from last year, this is just a fold-out digipack. The CD is hiding in there in no protection at all, just the CD is tossed in there. And I would really like to get this one here, and actually I have located a copy. It's a little bit expensive, but I have located a copy on the P-Vine label. However, the one before that, 2019 Sweet Candy Power, I am really searching for that one. And this one here from Valve in Australia, it is just an envelope with the CD stuffed inside. That's it. That's it. So I really want to try to find a copy of this on the P-Vine version with the fold-out CD with the poster inside. And there's one other older one as well. If I can get these 2 and that one, I will have all the ones I want. 8 of the 9 I will have. So that'll be cool. So that's what I'm searching for, is particularly those 2 that I have not been able to find anywhere yet. Okay, let's see here. Next is a channel shout out. So I actually want to give 2 shout outs. I want to give one to Vinyl Shawn, because in a recent video where he had to name a channel, he named my channel. And he said that even though I talk a lot about heavy metal, which is not his thing, he still likes to watch my videos sometimes. So I thought that was really cool, because Honestly, I watch a lot of people's videos and I'm not interested in getting a lot of the music they talk about, but I enjoy watching the videos. I enjoy watching the people talking about the music and why it's special to them and why that album was special to them. Yeah, I really appreciated Vinyl Shawn saying that, because I felt like, hey man, I understand totally. So mention to Vinyl Shawn, and I also want to mention Morten Aastad in Norway and Denmark, because he was having a contest to increase his subscribers to over 650. And I don't think I'm entering the contest. I would love to, but I'm really stuck on particularly one of the criteria. So instead of entering the contest, I'm just mentioning Morten Aastad. So Vinyl Shawn, Morten Aastad, and Noble Records, links to their channels will be in the description. So next up is a silver lining, and in the VC, because I heard there's a lot of negativity, I don't really see it. The thing that concerns me the most is that a lot of people are constantly focused on their subscriber numbers and always trying to increase it. And I understand playing the numbers game, it's really cool when you hit like 800 and 900 and whatever. Anytime you get one of those round numbers is cool. But I find like the number of subscribers doesn't really matter, because I've got a lot now, that's after 6 years, but the number of views is pretty low, and the number of people who are actually leaving comments is even lower. But it is the comments that I appreciate. It is the interaction with people, whether they are members of the vinyl community, or they have their own YouTube channels talking about music or whatever, or if they are just people who are only watching YouTube and not actually posting anything. Doesn't matter. I really appreciate the interaction with people, because this is the internet. We are connecting around the world. We share a similar passion for music, or maybe it's collecting. Maybe we are all physical format music junkies. But I've just met a lot of really cool people. Sometimes it's just a comment and an exchange of words and we're cool. And other times, you know, we've become friends and we watch each other's videos. So that's the thing I think is the silver lining about the VC, and just about the, you know, people on YouTube in general who are in it for the music. Thanks everybody. Okay, cool. Two more then. Number 19 is A Steal of a Deal. So I did talk about this before. This is a Canadian artist named Lindsay Schoolcraft, and I really wanted to get a hold of her album Martyr. There were two versions available. One was just a regular digipack, and one had a booklet of extra artwork inside, and I really wanted to get a hold of that one, but it was very difficult to find who had that. I would just see people listing the album, but there was no information about whether or not it had the booklet. And I saw maybe Import CDs had it, but it was going to cost like 3,500 yen for me to get it. And they couldn't confirm whether or not it was the one with the booklet or not, so it was going to be kind of a gamble. However, I found somebody on Yahoo Auctions selling the CD for 1,100 yen, so about less than a third of what Import CDs was selling it for. And I just thought, okay, well, never mind the booklet, I'm just going to get the cheaper version. And I got it, and then when I got it and opened it up, I found this actually was the version with the booklet and the extra artwork inside here. And all the artwork was created by a fan. And Lindsay was so impressed with the fan's work, she asked if she could use it for the album. The only thing was that afterwards I noticed, like, on the booklet here, it says Lindsay Schoolcraft with a T, but on the cover it says Lindsay Schoolcraft with no T. So I wondered if this was a fake, and then on her Facebook page she had a warning about fake products, fake merchandise. So I asked her about it, and she said no, this was a rare early printing of the CD cover which had that mistake on it. So it's a rare CD. Anyway, I got the album with the booklet for a third of the price I was going to have to pay otherwise. So great, thank you to that person on Yahoo Auction. And the last one is show a promotional item. So we're going to show one more that my friend gave me way back when. This is for Megadeth. The System Has Failed, and this is a 2-track promotional CD which is still in the wrap, never opened. Okay, and that's it. Those are my 20 questions answered for the Summer Vinyl Tag of 2024. Thank you to Dillon at Noble Records for putting that out. And thanks for anybody who watched this video a second time. Thanks for anybody who watched it the first time. Thanks for any comments. Okay, everyone, I'm out of here. See you in another video, probably a 5441. All right, bye. Take care.